What's good, listeners? Our guest returning to the Chris College Show, Millennial Talk Show on Just Talking is Daniel Eachus. He is a rising young star in the comedy world with his popular stand-up special on Dry Bar Comedy, A Mild and Skinny Guy, and his comedy album, Carry the Pillow, available now to listen on all audio streaming services. So how's it going, Daniel?
What's up? How are you?
Doing? We doing good, fam. I mean, I gotta start this off like right on the top of the show. Have you lost your mind during COVID-19? I mean, literally, have you gotten that insane? Because why in the world did you want to write and doodle a fictional book full of short stories for adults?
Oh, if I had a logical answer to that, I feel like you'd have your answer there that I didn't lose my mind, but I don't have a logical answer for that. So I did in fact lose my mind in quarantine. I was actually, it's crazy. It was because of COVID and all that I was cleaning out my room. I was just like, I got nothing but time. Might as well clean my room right now. I don't know if you had any of those moments during quarantine where you're like, I'm just going to rearrange all my furniture. I don't know if
that happens all the time, but I did want to say something. Your audio is really, really scratchy right now.
No.
Yeah, so if there's any way you can find, because I feel you. When you're in the middle of quarantine, especially for a year now, you start looking at all your memorabilias. You start seeing all the lost beanies. Like I'm sure Daniel Eachus has tons of beanies in his closet that he's like now organizing into color. I get that. That's very much a real thing. And let's see, Danny, do you think you got it adjusted?
Yeah, is that any better or is that the same?
It's a little, it's better, a little scratchy, but I think we can make it happen. We can make it happen during this time.
Well, I know that, like, you guys might have cleaned up. I looked at all the mess and spring cleaning I need to do as I sat on my butt for an entire year.
Yeah, I mean, but like when I hear your new book that's titled A Day at the Zoo in 2062, is there like any meaning to 2062 and why a zoo?
It was just is that audio any better?
That's better. A lot better.
Perfect. Wait, it is actually based off of, I have the book right here. For those of you listening at home, you can, the book.
Yeah. Get the sound of the wind from the book. Breeze
the
into
little
the microphone.
ASMR here.
Yeah, the new ASMR.
It's actually based, like you said, it's a bunch of short stories, and this is actually based, the title of the book is actually based off one of the short stories in the book about what a zoo would be like 40-ish years in the future.
Have you not played The Last of Us Part 2? I mean, it kind of gives us some kind of idea, but do you imagine it to be more of a futuristic feel? You don't see giraffes and donkeys and rhinos running around rapidly through the country, or do you see it as more of what do you see in 2062?
Well, I think the world will be gone. We'll all be on Elon Musk's spaceship heading towards
yes, I'm all about being on
Joe
Mars.
Rogan owns.
Yes.
Oh, Joe Rogan's gonna be leading the Star Enterprise. That's hilarious. But I mean, you did already jump ahead. You did show the book cover. I do have another image of it, and I meant to talk about this with you because obviously in your new book you talk about online dating and the fear of being catfished. And as a comedian, are you really comfortable with online dating? Because I feel like in our profession, it's really weird to be participating in these kind of things. I don't care if you've been 1 year into quarantine. That's weird. Are you comfortable? I'm not.
Honestly, the weirdest part about it is showing, I was like, what pictures do I have of myself that I like? And most of them are me on stage because I'm flexing when I'm up there. And honestly, most of my pictures that I like, I'm like on stage or I'm doing something comedy-wise. And I was like, if I was a stranger looking at this, I would just assume this was a fake profile because it's all like some comedian on stage. And so that's like my biggest worry every time. I'm like, do people think I'm like a Russian bot, or do they?
Well, I think my biggest worry is a professional comedian like you who's gotten really great stardom over the years feels like he needs to shift his love affairs to the online world. I mean, come on. Really, Daniel? Is this where we're going in 2021?
I just want to have all my avenues. I want to have the digital world, the stand-up world. I
Ah.
just want to have the doors open everywhere. You know what I mean?
I feel you, and I know Marissa. She's gonna share an image up here, and for all the listeners tuning in on YouTube channel, uh, we're all gonna look at this picture together, okay? And can you explain to me, is this your idea of being catfished?
That was my buddy. My one of my best friends, Diego Parada. He did all the images in the book, and we hadn't settled on a front cover image at all. And he drew that for one of the stories about being catfished. And I was like, oh my god, that's the cover. That's the ugliest, most adorable thing I've ever seen.
I mean, in this picture leads me to my question because Marissa, during our hashtag TLDR, she reported on what Verge broke the story this week, and that is Tinder will soon be allowing users to run background checks on possible dates based on just a first name and a phone number. So I think I'd rather be catfished.
Oh,
What
by
about
the
you?
way,
Oh, Marissa's gonna add
there
something. Yeah,
is
go.
a Marissa Pitts in Long Beach who is blonde and hot as hell. So if like that's and she's probably got no record. So if I'm on a date and you pick her, cheers.
There you go. So,
Well,
I mean, do you feel more comfortable about this? Would you rather prefer to get a background check or would you rather be catfished? I think I would.
it's upsetting because that this is actually my Tinder profile picture now, and
Yeah.
assume people think that's me. Honestly, look, this is just me personally, but I like I find intelligence to be attractive, and I feel like you got to be smart enough to use the internet and stalk me like a normal intelligent person nowadays. I don't need background checks done. You got to be smart enough to find my Facebook, my Instagram, my address, and stalk me the normal
Well,
way.
didn't they kind of have something similar to like that? Because I know Marissa last year, you and I, we were reporting that Snapchat, that really was the OnlyFans before OnlyFans came around. But they literally, you were able to friend with somebody on Tinder, and then you can figure out their geotag, which basically means where you are in real time. That's creepy. This background
Okay.
check is creepy.
There's
There's
an
nothing
no,
creepy
you can
about
go on
catfish.
your
You're just
phone.
that stupid
No,
if
you
you
can go
get
on
if you see that picture and you fall for that. Okay?
you can go
Marissa,
on
what
your
you gonna say?
phone and no, you can go on your phone and turn that off, by the way. So
You
that
can, but they turned it on without anybody's consent. And most people probably still have it left on. So if you're on Snapchat now, do your homework, fam.
I
But
just always find it ridiculous that I'm able to look up where my Snapchat friends are located, yet half the time I can't figure out where my car keys are. I'm like, how do we not have that technology down?
I started
it's true. I mean, and this leads me to another point I want to mention with you, especially with your book, because you also wrote a 4-part story of a ghost who gets stuck haunting a house that nobody lives in. And I had a wild thought on this concept, so you let me know if I'm getting at something with this idea. Because I know this week you celebrated your first anniversary of your live stream show. But is this a metaphor about comedians under quarantine not performing in front of a full house?
Oh, that's the perfect way to look at it. I actually wrote that particular story 10 years ago, which is
Wow.
crazy. Talk about looking into the future. I knew exactly what it was going to be like in 2020. And
But you probably
so
thought you were going to release the book in 2062, correct? Not 2021.
Well, I'm saying if I was able to predict that future, that Elon Musk spaceship Joe Rogan planet thing, it's coming to fruition. It's
But
happening.
but like on a real note though, Daniel, it's like, have you ever heard the phrase like the funniest people are the saddest people? I mean, you're a professional comedian. If a haunted house is occupied with guests who haunt, is it truly haunted? If it isn't occupied? I mean, what are you doing when you're not performing and making people laugh in real time? I bet this void through Zoom has got to be very daunting for somebody like you right now.
Honestly, minus the whole people dying thing, and everyone losing money and their jobs and all the sad part, it hasn't been that bad in terms of like, just being like a creative type person, like in entertainment. It's been like, oh, I have time to just be creative and write a book and that kind of stuff. I definitely bug my friends way too much, calling them on the phone every day. But other than that, it's time to be creative.
Right. I mean, have you heard anything promising in your world of comedy? Like, I know there's a lot of hype in the live music industry, and I know next month, I know certain states are starting to kind of open up the venues and kind of test that out. Are you going to be one of those kind of people that is like, dude, I'm going to be the first in line. If someone offers me an opportunity to jump back into the Laugh House or wherever, Gotham City, New York, whatever, would you jump in a landslide, or do you feel like I need to kind of hold back until I feel the time is ready?
Not only do I feel like I would jump, I've jumped. I already jumped. I was lucky enough to get a leftover of a vaccine, and so I had my first
The
dose. And
leftover vaccine.
the second I got my first dose, I was like, I have a date. I have a date of when I will return to society. And so ever since I got that date, I just started booking shows because I was like, look, man, if I can't pretend the world's normal after this, then I might end up waiting till 2062.
Yeah, right.
When's your first show? When is it going to be?
I have some shows. I'm not sure about LA just because, yeah, I do think LA will be one of the last places to sort of reopen. But April 20 or I'd have to look at the date. It's up in
So it's
Fresno will be one
next
of my first
month,
shows.
literally. That,
Yeah.
I was curious about that because I couldn't imagine, somewhere in SoCal, you're going to be lucky enough to get inside those venues unless you go to somewhere in Orange County. I hear they're starting to loosen up a little bit, but so it's more up north, I'm assuming. That's where you're getting
Ev-
most of the gigs at.
Everywhere. I'm actually booked up the entire month of June right now, almost my full summer, like literally the whole
Damn. So
month of
they're
June.
literally now in the comedy world. They're
Yeah.
gambling for the return of laughs. Wow.
Yeah. Pretty much. I mean, the places I'm at, it's like Oklahoma, Kansas, Arkansas, Texas. It's all places like that I don't think I'm seeing it as like, cool, I'll have my vaccine, I'm good to go. And I think they're already just open and been like, what are you talking about? We've been like this since last May or
Did you
something. I don't know.
did you purposely like pick all the red states? You're like, oh, they're not wearing masks. Let me
Yeah.
go ahead and go there.
Yeah, I was gonna say, are you willing? Are you ready to like leave the Golden State and go anywhere else to go and perform? I find that kind of fascinating on a level.
I actually did. I don't know why I did it. Probably because I just like the club and the people who run it. But back in October, September, something like that, I actually went to Arizona for a weekend at a club, and I have no way of justifying it other than I was like, you know what? I just want to roll the dice for one weekend, and I rolled the dice, and I didn't land on snake eyes or whatever. I didn't end up getting.
Well, what was your impression? I mean, did you feel like most that venue that you rely on, you trust? That's why you obviously decided to go in October. What was your first reaction? Because I think most people are dying to know, especially the people that are listening. What is it like inside a comedy bar? I feel like I can't even remember the last time I was jumping in a crowd together at a music concert. What is it
Yeah.
like now? Do you feel like we're making those right steps forward?
Yeah, I think so. Honestly, I did a show last night, which isn't normal. I know we're using all these examples that makes it sound like I just do shows every day. I've done probably
Yeah,
6 or 7 in-person shows throughout the
gotcha.
last entire year. But most of those, 95% of them, really all of them except for that one weekend, have all been like outdoors, socially distanced, 1/3 capacity. Everyone else is wearing masks, all that kind of stuff. And so I did one of those shows last night near Santa Barbara. It's a beautiful venue out at a winery, outdoor show. Everyone's spaced apart. No one's
Yeah,
near
yeah.
me. Nobody sneezed on me. All that stuff. And the thing I missed the most in comedy was just I got there like 2 or 3 hours early, and I was like, "Oh, I have time to kill. What am I gonna do?" And then I was like, "What is there to do in this town?" Because I wasn't in Santa Barbara. I was in a random town in the middle of nowhere. And I was like, "Oh, what's ostrich land?" And then I just went and checked it out and fed ostriches for the first time in my life. And it was like those are the things I miss the most in comedy.
the
Was
the
just finding
random
random things.
yeah, the random trends you do before you hit the main stage. I love it. I mean, it almost seems like you're doing these outdoor venues. I mean, when I was talking to Marissa before the show, I was like, you kind of remind me of a young William Shakespeare with your wordplay. And it's my understanding with your new book, A Day at the Zoo in 2062, you explain the most pressing issue of our times. And that is mansplaining what the term mansplaining is. So I'm going to challenge you a little bit. Can you explain what you mean, let's say, in a more feministic approach?
In a feministic approach, explain how I mansplain mansplaining. Is that what you're asking?
Yes.
I like how you reworded his question to make sense.
Yes. I don't know. I mean, you guys
I had to
are...
mansplain to Chris what I believe he was mansplaining to me when he asked that question about feminizing a mansplain.
That sounds like a very
Now you know
feministic
what I
approach,
do.
okay?
Now you know what I deal with every week.
Oh, stop, Marissa. Is that just me giving out answers or questions to people? Is that mansplaining every single time? But on the real, I mean, how would you approach this as a comedian?
Oh man, Marissa's very anxious to be like, oh okay, yeah, Daniel, tell me how a feminine, how would a woman do it? You tell me, Daniel.
I love hearing men explaining mansplaining. Like I love hearing it. So please continue.
So what it sounds like is the woman that's on air, our beautiful, the one and only Marissa Pitts is saying that you need to stick to the mansplaining because you're better at being a mansplainer than
No, actually, what listeners need to do is buy his book, read
Yes.
the part about mansplaining, and then form an opinion. I like your
Well, all I know is,
I like how you
Daniel,
do it.
all I know about your book is you received amazing reviews. And you went so far as to even add those amazing reviews to your back cover of your brand new book. And I saw that your mom gave you a shout out and she wrote, "This book is so good, I almost forgot Daniel never became a doctor or used his college degree." With your own illustrator, Diego Parada's mom writing, the stories are laugh out loud funny and the drawings on the page are next to them. So that's good to know that we got some kind of feedback because clearly the moms are concerned that we're not gonna put the two together, obviously. So what would we do without mothers, Daniel?
It's true. By the way, if you combine those two quotes, that's 2 thumbs up because they each gave one.
That's
Very true.
facts.
I love mommies. I honestly love that you actually did have both the illustrator and your mom give the feedback because the mom's feedback is the best feedback and the only one you can trust.
It's
Exactly.
so true. It's so true. And I know we got about a minute left. And Daniel, as I'm aware, you have a promo code for the new book, A Day at the Zoo in 2062. So listeners, don't forget to use that promo code STIMMY at checkout because you can get Daniel Eachus' new book for just 1% of your stimulus check. That is $14. What a guy. Thinking about all of us during these times.
Yeah.
You can pay for a 10-foot skeleton for Halloween, or you can pay 1% of your stimulus. What would you recommend, Daniel?
I get both. That's what I say. Spend 2% of your
Use your
stimulus.
whole stimmy, but make sure you leave enough room for Daniel Eachus' new book, A Day at the Zoo in 2062. Thank you again for returning to the Chris College Show, Millennial Talk Show. Make sure to pick up that great pink flamboyant mansplaining of a novel today.
Yeah, and you can get it at zoo2062.com.
Let's go, baby.